In recent months, as the European economy has fallen into a quagmire and the US economy is still facing the problem of rebounding inflation more than 10 months after the Federal Reserve forcibly raised interest rates, the Western media has suddenly targeted the Chinese economy, launching a new round of China collapse theory. The noise has started again, and a large number of domestic media and self-media have followed the Western media in spokening down our country's economy. These choruses reached a climax in US President Biden's speech on August 10. Biden claimed at a campaign fundraising meeting that China's economy has become a ticking time bomb, saying that China is in trouble. It used to grow at an annual rate of 8% and is now close to 2%. He also put China calls bad guys and says bad guys do bad things when they are in trouble. In the face of Biden's badmouthing, we need to understand two things. First, in this poor world, even if China's economy encounters some difficulties, compared with the world's major powers, it is still the least bad. Second, why did the Western media and politicians suddenly collectively badmouth our country's economy? This is America's war on the heart. As long as we hold our ground, we will not be led into the ditch. The goal of the psychological war is to make the Chinese people, including Chinese entrepreneurs, lose confidence, thereby turning the negative remarks into a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you believe in it, the more likely it is to come true. You can imagine a bank that is operating normally. If all depositors listen to the rumors and go to make a run for withdrawals, then the bank may really go bankrupt even if its operating performance is normal. China's economy has indeed recently been facing sluggish growth, declining import and export trade, deflation, and continuous thunders in the financial and real estate industries. At the same time, the country is also carrying out large-scale anti-corruption operations in the pharmaceutical industry, which has touched the interests of some people. But we need to look at these things dialectically. The thunders in the financial and real estate industries, as well as the anti-corruption in the pharmaceutical industry, are actually us taking the initiative to remove the tumors, and there are some vested interests who deliberately adopt a lay-down posture to put pressure on the government. Although my country's import and export data dropped significantly in July, it is still relatively good from a global perspective. The reason why there was a larger drop in July is because it is a year-on-year result with the figures in July last year, while last July my country's total import and export trade has reached a historical high in recent years. In terms of manufacturing, China's data is very eye-catching. My country's automobile exports have increased significantly. This year, my country will definitely surpass Japan and become the world's largest automobile exporter. You must know that the output value of the automobile industry is more than 20 times that of the mobile phone industry, and it is the real economic lifeline of a country. The data of my country's shipbuilding industry are also extremely eye-catching. The number of new orders has exceeded half of the global market, surpassing the shipbuilding industries of South Korea and Japan. Squeezed into a corner, in terms of basic data, the electricity consumption of the whole society in July increased by 6.5% year-on-year, and the crude oil processing volume in July increased by 17.4% year-on-year. These are direct evidence of China's economic recovery. In terms of finance, the total volume and structure of my country's social financing data from January to June in the first half of the year were better than expected, especially in June when new credit hit a record high. The sharp decline in the growth of social financing data in July was the result of our proactive reduction of real estate credit scale and the impact of pessimism about real estate. In fact, among several major items of China's economic data, only real estate has declined. This is also the result of national macro control, which has cooled down China's real estate. Let's take real estate for example. The boom in the real estate industry is the result of rapid economic development, and this process has happened in China, Japan, and South Korea. Japan's real estate industry was hit by a storm in the 1990s, with housing prices falling by 60% and one-third of companies going bankrupt. In 1995, Japan's GDP was 5.55 trillion US dollars, and in 2022, Japan's GDP was 4.23 trillion US dollars. South Korean real estate was hit by a storm this year. Monthly housing prices fell by 40%, and transaction volume fell by 70%. Compared with Japan and South Korea, the single-digit decline in China's housing prices has become what some clowns call China's real estate plunge. The Western media's war on the mind of China is also in line with the United States' repressive policies against China, especially the newly introduced restrictions on investment in China. Although these investment bans are concentrated in high-tech fields such as AI, chips and quantum computing, they have a spillover effect, and US capital investment in China in other fields may also decrease. But this does not mean that the Chinese economy is lacking investment. We are actually not short of money. What we lack is financial management talents. At this time, our financial operation efficiency is not as good as that of the United States. But just this small gap can be said to be 1,000 miles away from the extent that some people say that the sky in China is about to collapse. As the country resolves several major risk points, this round of bad-mouthing the Chinese economy will inevitably be slapped in the face like Zhang Jia done.